Welcome back to Foothills Firewood, guys. My name's Britt. We're back from Bunyan, and we got things to do. Let's get it. All right, y'all. So like I said in the intro, it is Monday morning, and we are off work. Big shout out to Haley. She is our scheduling coordinator at work. She'll never see this, but it is because of her that days like this end up making my life a lot easier. So I took last week off, and I get a rotating day off each week. And anytime she sees us take PTO, she will usually put the following Monday as our day off. So that's a bigger help than most people would understand, especially when you're gone all week or you're traveling, coming home on a Sunday. So we just got the kids to school, and I am actually headed to a tree falling or a tree job that somebody else is doing. I met this guy last Halloween in a neighborhood near my house trick-or-treating, and we've kind of kept in contact. And he messages me a couple days ago, and he says, "Hey, I'm cleaning up a huge tree for this lady and wanted to know if you want the wood." He's got to find a place to dump it. Well, he found his place. So I told him I would take the wood if we could leave it like in as big of lengths as possible. Well, he's got a mini excavator, which is awesome, but not sure what the lift capacity of that thing is. And I told him, well, you can cut it as many times as you need to cut it to get it loaded. But I just prefer to make, the cuts myself, save your saw and time and labor, and just cut it as few times as you can lift. So I'm just going to go over there and mark it and take a look at the tree. We'll look at it together. Not before we spend a little bit of money at O'Reilly's. A wifey needs windshield washer fluid. Oh yeah, this is a nice sized tree, guys. This is every bit of 30, probably 36 inches around, at least right here. DBH, I don't know, between 36 and 40, but look at that piece of wood. Looks like it just fell across the driveway here. I mean, we're talking 50, 60 foot up over here. It's still 20 inches. It's a lot of wood, and I'm gonna take it. Northern red oak. All right, so I've cleared a little path of ivy there, and I'm just gonna roll it with the Mingo marker. This thing is really handy for exact jobs like this. Sometimes I'll use the perfect stick, sometimes I'll just use another piece of wood, and then sometimes I'll use the Mingo marker. But when you got a big log like this, Mingo marker all the way. We don't want to get that root flare, so I'm probably gonna stop it right about there, and let's get this marked. All right, guys, just like that, we got our mark 16 inches all the way down. I'll send this to the gentleman that's cleaning the tree up, and we'll be on our way. Hopefully, you'll see me getting this load in a future video. They've got it out of the driveway. This is a private drive, so people can get back and forth. So I don't think it's a massive rush, but obviously they do want to get it cleaned up, and we're going to help them store it. That's for sure. And just because I am the nerd that I am, I had to do it. This tree is 78 years old. And the more I look up at this northern red oak right beside it, the more I feel like I probably ought to move my car. Let's get out of here, guys. All right, y'all, we got that tree all marked up, and now we are headed to the big city of King, North Carolina. And if you could not hear the sarcasm, let me assure you it was there. King is a small town about 35, 40 minutes north of where I'm at. Not that I'm in a big town by any means, but we're headed up there to the infamous Triad Hose and Hydraulics. These guys are just wizards with hydraulics, anything hydraulics. So as some of you guys know, and hopefully as you'll see in this video, I picked up a new toy at Bunyan this past weekend and just got it home. Of course, it had, the appropriate hydraulic quick connects that the majority of implements come with these days, but my tractor does not have those. So anytime I get anything new or borrow anything, I always end up having to go grab a set of connectors or reducers or whatever, and that is where we're headed now. So I hope to be able to get home and get this toy off the trailer and maybe even run some wood through it. So let's go. As I am on this little trek about 40 minutes north, I'm just driving and thinking. I figured I would kind of mention a little bit about that tree and what you guys just saw. The gentleman who contacted me about taking the tree, his name is Tom. I don't know exactly what Tom does, if it's like grading or land clearing, or if it's just general construction. I just met the guy this past Halloween, actually, trick-or-treating. So we talked for a little bit in the driveway by a solo stove. He had his tractor. I believe it was his tractor out there, but you know, one way or another, we ended up talking about tractors, and we exchanged information. A lot of people ask me where I get my wood. This is a prime example of where I get my wood. As a wood hound, I have always got my nose to the ground for some wood. When I hear a chainsaw crank up, I'm like a tractor beam. Zzz, hey, what are you doing with that chainsaw? Where's that wood going? That's how I roll, man. It's just how I've always been. And the longer you are that way, the easier the wood comes. The wood starts to come to you. People start, you know, remembering and recognizing you as the guy that will take the wood. Now, with that said, you also want to build a decent relationship with these people who are helping you out. It's a symbiotic relationship, and you're helping them out too, because otherwise, in most places in America, these tree guys or these graders or whatever, they would have to pay to dump this stuff. And I get it. They usually would pass that cost off to the customer. But a lot of times you're nearby, it's easier. And so I want to help them out. They're obviously helping me out, but at the same time, I also don't want a bunch of junk, and I don't want to waste their time. So that's why I went out there to mark that tree. His job is to get that tree cleaned up, and he doesn't care if the rounds are 16 inches. So maybe he cuts them 20, and every single cut he makes at 20 inches, I got to lop a 4-inch cookie off of. That's a lot of waste. It's a lot of time, unnecessary cuts on the saw or on the chain. And all that stuff can be mitigated by just swinging by there and taking 3 minutes to run a Mingo marker down it. Makes it easy for him. If he gets there and he says, oh, my excavator or my Mini X can pick up, you know, a 16-inch section, then he can just cut every third paint mark or fourth paint mark or seventh. I told him leave it as long as he wants to. As little cuts as possible is ideal for me, and I'm sure it's ideal for him or anybody that's running the equipment and knows its capabilities. So that's why I went and marked the tree. I don't necessarily want junk, but I also don't expect others to, you know, put forth the effort when, you know, they're getting paid by the job. He just wants to get it cleaned up. A lot of the brush he's going to push off into the woods. So I'm not going to sit here and have all these demands and not put forth any effort. So that's why you guys saw me marking that tree, and back to driving. And just like that, we got everything we need from Triad Hose and Hydraulics. Now it's time to just go home and dress it out, and let's see how this thing works. I am actually very intrigued to see what the cycle time is on this new log splitter that I've got. And not because I am concerned with cycle time. If I was, I would have just spent a little more money and got bigger hoses. But the reason I say that is because I have 3/8-inch hose. A lot of you guys know that I ran my third function the cheap way from my rear remotes. I don't actually have a third function installed. I was able to run a third function for the grapple from my rear remotes for like $150 versus, you know, $1,000 plus for, you know, doing it proper. So when I did that, I ran 3/8-inch line. You know, 1/2-inch line is pretty big. I was trying to route it through there and hide it, you know, whatever. But so there's 3/8-inch line, and a lot of the bigger implements like the Wolferidge Versasplit that you guys are going to see here soon, they run 1/2-inch hydraulic hose and 1/2-inch fitting. So I had to get some reducers, and there is obviously going to be some power or pressure drop because of that. So I don't know about power, but definitely flow rate is what I should say. Again, guys, I don't think I have to explain to y'all that I'm not a hydraulic whiz, but that is what we're working with. And I'm curious to see, if I was that worried about it, I would have just got another 200 inches of 1/2-inch hose, and I would have reran my rear remotes, which is probably what I should have went with to begin with. But we're going to get the job done. We're going to see how it works, and you guys are going to see it with me. All right, y'all, I am gonna have trouble wiping that smile off my face for the rest of the day. That was absolutely sick. I can't believe how easy. Now, don't get me wrong, this was some very straight grain red oak, which is largely probably what I'm gonna be using this thing for, but that was total domination to a piece of wood for sure. Neighbor Chase is down here, and we got so excited whenever we started popping through this stuff easy. And with somebody who has no real operator experience, this thing, beautiful line of sight. I'm sitting on a hill, no issues whatsoever. I've got great counterweight, 1,800 pounds of white oak back there, so this tractor's not going anywhere. Yeah, wow, really impressed. And he actually was like, I'd love to see it through something naughty, and I don't have anything worked up right now. So we're actually going to run down to his house and see if he's got anything even small. I just want to keep running this thing. All right, so we came on down here to Neighbor Chase's to find some better or tougher wood. As you guys can see, this is literally one whole crotch all the way down the center. Over here, it's got 2 eyes at least, maybe more. This is definitely a piece of wood that I would normally just start out with the single way wedge on. No real reason to need to do it with the 4-way.
especially, you know, after reading the grain. This is oak, but you know, we just got a new toy and we're gonna test it. So I'm gonna leave the 4-way on. We're gonna see if it'll pop through this, and if not, no love lost. We'll pull off the 4-way and we'll run it through the single way. We got a few other pieces over here. We wanted to get some stuff that was kind of twisted grain. You can see it, not straight crotches or limbs coming off of it. And we have exactly that. So let's pop it up here and see what we got.
Wolferidge log turner. Okay.
Well, y'all, I'll tell you one thing. I don't see myself taking this 4-way off a whole lot. This pile was made quick, and obviously we're not cutting bundle grade stuff here, but look at this. All with the 4-way on. And some of this you had to read the grain, but some of it you can see where I went straight through the center of it. And it's just as crooked and crotchy as can be. And I'm not saying that's what this is for. This is not a high production machine. I think everybody watching this video probably understands exactly what this is. This is the Back Saber 3000. But let me tell you, we made some wood fast. I could totally see if someone had a boiler that this would be almost their preferred method of just splitting wood. I think I have been abundantly clear that this process is not about speed. This is about busting up big rounds effectively and with ease. With that said though, just in case anybody is curious about this or what it would look like on their tractor if they have something similar, I am gonna roll in a clip of a full cycle, so the cycle time. All right, y'all, if you guys watched to the end of the video and you stuck with me, then I really appreciate it. I know I only have a couple of hours on this machine, but I will go ahead and give you my thoughts on it. If I had it to purchase over again, would I do it? 100%. I am very thrilled that I added this to the arsenal. I do think this really kind of fills a gap for me in my firewood business with the large rounds that I get. I'm actually very surprised at the power and the cycle time. I thought it was going to be very slow on my tractor. With the RPMs up, I want to say probably 10 to 15 second cycle time. I'll have to go back and look, but I was very impressed at the speed. And again, the 22 tons is what I went with, and I feel like that was the right call for me, because going with lower tonnage but faster cycle time just kind of defeats the purpose of what this whole thing does, in my opinion. I appreciate the offering and having these different options for different people, but this was definitely the right one for me. If I could change anything about it, or if I were building it myself, the only thing that I would do differently is I would put a larger push block on it. I think a lot of people end up getting this thing, they pull the 4-way off and they use the single way, and that's kind of what they stick with. And if that's the case, then it really doesn't matter. But for me, I felt like it had plenty of power, so I left the 4-way on. I continued kind of reading the grain with the 4-way. It did great, but I dropped the 4-way all the way down in the lowest position, and with that horizontal knife in the lowest position, it actually sits a fair amount below the push block. So that'd be the only thing that I would change. That's me. That's just particular to my process. I'm sure, you know, other people would prefer the weight reduction in a smaller push block. So you can't make a million people happy, but I'll tell you what, they made me happy with this equipment. I'm glad I got it. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. I appreciate you sticking it out to the end. Thank you guys for all the likes, the comments, the subscribes, and shares. And until next time, we're out here having fun. Thanks for watching.